terminology as time went on, even Gnosticized. But all these, all these hot-headed groups were eradicated. So again, I just don't know what happened in this prayer.
But Ben Zakkai, wanting to save mainstream Judaism
doesn't impress me.
Was that mainstream Judaism?
No, that was rubbish Judaism that he saved, and still is. And that's one of our problems. It's been heroicized by the same people that heroicized, and I hate to put it in contemporary terms, the activities of this clique of editors of the Qumran scrolls. Sure, it's heroicized because the supporters of that kind of a movement survived to heroicize it. But I don't think any person in his right mind would think applying the most precious Jewish prophecy in a totally disingenuous way to a Roman emperor is a heroic act. I think it is an act of humiliation in the most extreme kind. And if my people or the Jews don't recognize this, then they don't understand what heroism is or what humiliation is. One of the problems of the Jewish people is that they've lived with humiliation for so long that it's become second nature to them. And in fact, I don't mean to be cruel, but I don't think that they do understand what humiliation and heroism is. And they don't have any respect for the people who committed suicide on Masada. A lot of people don't. They try to downplay that as an aberrant thing. It may have been aberrant, but it's a heroic act. And to have had yourself smuggled out of Jerusalem in a coffin and got down on your hands and knees and shot an arrow into Vespasian camp and said you were a friend of the emperor is an act of the utmost moral cowardice in those circumstances. And there's no way anyone who judges human action can avoid that. But we Jews have managed to do that for 2,000 years. That's one of our spiritual problems. No, that's my own view. I'm a hothead. You must forgive me. I don't leave it there. I don't want to argue about these things. We all have different views. Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something before we go? Go ahead.
You made a huge statement.
I sure did, because I wanted to end it.
I wasn't thinking that. But you can see traces of Qumranic material going all the way down to the Quran.
Oh, absolutely. But I have to read you the Quran passage for passage, and we'd have to go through it together. Absolutely. Muhammad in Surah 3. Wait. Muhammad in Surah 3 of the Quran says he knows a group of people of the book who care about righteousness. Huh?
The 10 Jewish friends of...
No. He says in Surah 3, he knows all the people of the book are not bad. There is one group of the people of the book who care about righteousness, who prostrate themselves before God, who do not like fornication and riches, and keep vigil the whole night or a third thereof the way he does. So he knows some Jewish Christian type groups who are very similar to early Islam. Pardon me.
No, well, you were already beginning to quote, but I find it hugely. You're dealing with a text which is 1st century, and Quran is 7th. Aside of that, most of the material that we've seen in the Quran is essentially stuff which is agadic, that comes from we can trace the sources. And we've got a fairly good idea of who brought who are the Jews who affected this and what his sources. You'd have to be able to demonstrate the existence of Qumran type community.
I just did.
Continuously for 6 centuries.
Oh no, I don't have to do that.
I think you do.
No, I don't, because I haven't finished my statement.
Just because you
the pseudo-commentary.
We go down through material. We go through the not just the pseudo-clementines. We go through what is that group? Not the Manichaeans. They're next. No, before the Manichaeans, there is a group of the power. They're called the power. What are they? The Elchazites. You go from the Elchazites. First, you go. Certainly, Simeon Bar Cleophas is operating into the 2nd century, according to Christian sources. Who and I identify Simeon Bar Cleophas, obviously, is the brother of James and probably the second brother of Jesus. But that we can discuss. In any case, the traditional is that he's a nephew or cousin of Jesus. He's operating in the 2nd century, very parallel to Simeon Bar Yochai. If he's an historical character, I don't even know, but there's a lot of parallels between Simeon Bar Cleophas and Simeon Bar Yochai. In any case, this brings us into the what was the group I just mentioned, Jim, the one we just talked about? The Elchazites, who are operating in the 2nd and 3rd century, go on into the Manichaeans. Mani was a student of Elchazi. We know that. These concepts moved on into Manichaeism, on into Ebionitism, on into Islam. I don't have to, I mean, this is obviously a hazy period, so I don't have the documents to chronicle it, but certainly I made a wild statement there. But just because, let me finish, just because I made a wild statement there doesn't mean that there's no substance to it. We're talking in a group in 1 hour where I'm trying to say some interesting things to stimulate them into thinking. If I do what you do and just say, well, there's all these shades and so on, they will not think about that, and they will go away, and they won't think about it. I'm trying to challenge them into thinking about these things. You want me to prove the whole statement on 1 foot? I can assure you that there's a lot in the Qumran that you can show a link to Qumran-style thinking. Whether you have a direct link or an accidental link would have to be discussed. I happen to consider that there is an underground tradition, the same that I consider that Muhammad is very much in touch with certain traditions in Kabbalistic mysticism. He has his spiritual ascents, he has his spiritual journeys, he has his midnight journey to Jerusalem, he has his heavenly ascent and so on. We have a lot of material to show he's in touch with some very interesting traditions. I would only state, to make it more conservative, part of the tradition he's in touch with would be some of these groups that disappeared and reemerged in different form. Because certainly in Gnostic Christianity of Nag Hammadi, you have Qumran-type traditions that have moved over into a Gnostic sphere and have been Gnosticized. Certainly they changed by the 3rd or 4th century. That doesn't mean that they didn't come back into the Qumran framework in the first place, but Qumran changes as its hopes for the so-called parousia are disappointed. You had something back there.
You can trace Qumran style material in the historians as late as the 5th century. I wrote a book, half of a book I wrote, in fact, was tracing this. Which
I would
was
say
the point where I ran
the
into Robert.
Mandaeans.
The Mandaeans still survive, yeah.
9 centuries go to the Mandaeans.
The Mandaeans are still talking about John the Baptist 20 centuries later, yeah.
So that effect you had Nazarenes or Nazarites down at least to the 7th century.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you.
I think there's some around today.
Persecuted both by Jews and by the Church.
Yeah.
But I have another question about...
Man, take that one before we don't get it in, huh? It's outside the door. Pardon me.
Did someone research Armenian Church?
Oh, there's a lot of things that should be done like that.
I mean, the origin was there as a Church of Kings. In contrast to the Greeks, also of Paul and the Romans.
Well, that would be an interesting thing, because I haven't worked and I've not been done. I don't pretend I've done everything by one foot. There are lots of interesting things to do. Whether the data is there to work on is, we're fortunate to have the Dead Sea Scrolls. I don't say we have the kind of data that we need for all these things.
There are groups in Iraq living, they call themselves the Essenes, descendants of John the Baptist. Neither Christian nor Muslim.
The Mandaeans.
No, the Mandaeans.
Another where? Jeez, I didn't
What's
know that.
their name?
Essenes.
The coolest thing.
It was in the
$50 million more